On July 2, 1861, during the American Civil War, the Battle of Hoke's Run was fought in Berkeley County, Virginia, now West Virginia, as part of the Manassas Campaign. The engagement is notable as one of the earliest actions involving Confederate Colonel Thomas J. Jackson and his Virginia Brigade, occurring 19 days before he earned the famous nickname Stonewall. Although the clash was brief, both the Union and the Confederacy viewed it as an important early lesson in the Civil War. Following the orders of his superior officer, Jackson's outnumbered Confederate troops delayed the advance of Union forces commanded by Robert Patterson. After putting up a determined resistance, Jackson's men carried out an orderly withdrawal over several miles, successfully avoiding destruction while carrying out their assigned mission. On July 2, 1863, during the Battle of Gettysburg in the American Civil War, Little Round Top, the smaller of two rocky hills south of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, the companion to the adjacent taller hill named Big Round Top, became the site of an unsuccessful assault by Confederate troops against the Union left flank. Little Round Top was successfully defended by Union troops led by Colonel Strong Vincent, who was mortally wounded during the fighting and died 5 days later. One of the battle's most memorable moments came when the 20th Maine Volunteer Infantry Regiment, commanded by Colonel Joshua Chamberlain, launched a famous downhill bayonet charge that drove back the Confederate assault. The defense of Little Round Top became one of the defining episodes of the Battle of Gettysburg and remains one of the most celebrated actions of the American Civil War. On July 2, 1881, at 9:30 a.m., James A. Garfield, the 20th President of the United States, was shot at the Baltimore and Potomac Railroad Station in Washington, D.C., less than 4 months into his term as president. The shooter was Charles J. Guiteau, a disgruntled and mentally unstable office seeker who believed he had played a key role in Garfield's victory in the 1880 presidential election. After unsuccessfully seeking a diplomatic appointment from the new administration for several months, Guiteau bought a revolver and began following Garfield with the intention of killing him. Guiteau fired 2 shots from behind. One bullet only grazed the president, while the other lodged in his back. Garfield was taken to the White House, where doctors treated him for more than 2 months. His condition steadily declined as he developed severe infections and sepsis. Repeated attempts by physicians to locate the bullet, often without proper sterile procedures, likely worsened his injuries and reduced his chances of recovery. Garfield was eventually moved by train to a seaside home in Elberon, New Jersey, where he died on September 19, 1881. He became the second U.S. president to be assassinated following Abraham Lincoln. Vice President Chester A. Arthur succeeded him in office. Guiteau's trial attracted widespread public attention. His defense argued that he was legally insane, but the jury rejected that claim. He was convicted of murder, sentenced to death, and executed by hanging. On July 2, 1937, a Lockheed aircraft carrying American aviator Amelia Earhart and navigator Frederick Noonan was reported missing near Holand Island in the Pacific. The pair was attempting to fly around the world when they lost their bearings during the most challenging leg of the global journey, Lae, New Guinea to Holand Island, a tiny island 2,227 nautical miles away in the center of the Pacific Ocean. The United States Coast Guard cutter Itasca was in sporadic radio contact with Earhart as she approached Holand Island and received messages that she was lost and running low on fuel. Soon after, she probably tried to ditch the Lockheed in the ocean. No trace of Earhart or Noonan was ever found. And on July 2, 1964, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed into law the historic Civil Rights Act in a nationally televised ceremony at the White House. In the landmark 1954 case Brown v. Board of Education, The United States Supreme Court ruled that racial segregation in schools was unconstitutional. The 10 years that followed saw great strides for the African American civil rights movement, as nonviolent demonstrations won thousands of supporters to the cause. That's all the historical milestones I have for today. If you like what you hear, don't forget to leave a comment down below and subscribe. This is Stephen Luke, and I'll see you next time for another historical milestone video.